run the machine.
Okay, thank you, Warden.
Next thing I have under old business is fingerprinting fee collection. Last month, the board had directed me to speak to the clerk of courts in regards to this. We had a discussion late last week in regards to it. And some of the things that you know, there's one other thing really that she brought up that, you know, I was not aware of, and I don't know if the board members were or not, but there's going to be 3 ways if this is approved to not collect the fee here at the prison anymore. There's going to be 3 ways that an individual can pay for this. Either 1, by going to a magistrate's office and paying the fee at the Bureau of Collections, or much like bail and fines and costs, they can also go on the Unified Justice Portal and pay for them on there as well. So there would be three means of them to pay for their fingerprinting fees. She is in, you know, 100% agreement with not collecting the money at the jail here, and didn't see any issues with just having those 3 avenues for individuals to pay their fingerprinting fees or live scan fees.
Warden, I have a question on the Unified Justice Portal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that is available online, or are they dedicated PCs or computers that they have to use in various places in the county?
Either or, they can do it online just by going to the, you know, looking up the UJS portal for Pennsylvania, and they can do that right online as well.
Okay.
Okay, so now I guess I'm looking at the last month they approved the change of fees from the $75 and $100 to a 1 fee of $150. Would now be looking for a motion to no longer collect the fees here and go along with what the clerk of court had said at this point.
Okay, I just have a question is, are they 2 separate matters? Because I think, doesn't the court have a say in setting those fees?
Well, actually, the fees were set last month by the prison board, and they were originally set by the prison board back when we first did this back in 2009 or 10, whenever it was.
Okay. And I guess like the question is for Judge Nanovic, is there any court involvement? Do you see any court involvement in us moving forward with this, Judge?
My understanding is that there is court involvement. It's by statute, and I'm just looking at it's. See if I can find a section here. I know the court sets the fee, and you know, we intend to follow what the prison board is recommending, and I know Tim said it's going to be $150 is what's been recommended for adults, and I think it was it $50 for private citizens, Tim?
Correct.
And these fees were originally set by court order dated March 12th, 2010, and there was another category there that we did not address, and that was for juvenile delinquent offenders. In the original order of 2010, it was set at $25. I don't know what the recommendation is for that, so we have to set that as well. And then we're currently in the process of checking out whether or not this has got to be advertised in the Pennsylvania Bulletin before it can become effective. For some reason, and I really don't have the answer at this moment, when this was originally implemented in 2010, we did provide for publication in the Pennsylvania Bulletin and indicated it would be effective 30 days after that publication had occurred. We just noticed this when we picked out the former order to see how we had done it before, and that's the way it was done. So we're going to check that out and see if we have to put it in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. So we still have to deal with the amount for juvenile delinquent offenders. But then the next issue I just wanted to discuss briefly. My understanding is that this is a restricted account, which means that the fees have to only be used for booking center purposes. And as far as I know, that's what they've been used for. I'm not aware of it contrarily. I believe there's currently an account balance in that account of close to, or perhaps a little in excess of $250,000, which means on an average basis, if it's been in place for a little over 10 years, we're exceeding the actual expense by about $25,000 a year. The booking fee is for a booking center, and that's why I said it has to be used for that purpose. So I think as long as the board and the county funds to somehow use it for an expense for a booking center, there should be no difficulty with it. But if it's not going to be used for more, then we are in effect generating excess amounts that we have no specified reason for. I believe up to this point, in addition to paying, I think it's half of the salary of the person who's doing the fingerprinting at the prison, I think half of that's being paid from this fund.
Correct.
I believe that the live scan equipment had originally been purchased through this, which is an appropriate expense. I think maintenance expenses have been deducted from it, which again is appropriate, no issue. I just want to make sure that we know what the balances are now, and are we actually saving up to do something more with these fees? Because if we're not, we're sort of accruing fees, and I don't know what we intend to do with them.
I have a question. So Warden, is there the equipment that we have, how dated is that equipment? Are we talking about upgrading that equipment? Are we talking about expanding sites other than the prison?
There hasn't been any talk about that. The equipment, originally we first bought the machine, or actually the first machine was given to us, I think, and that was by Weatherly Police Department. And then it was somewhere around 2012 to 15 that a new machine, the machine was replaced. And that was on a mandation from I guess it's the Pennsylvania Police Association or whatever actually, is involved with this. The judge is correct. Half of the live scan operator salary is taken out of that. And, any other equipment that's in there, as you can see under new business, I actually have here that I found from Court IT that the clean terminal in the live scan is currently out of date and is going to need replacement. That I have a quote here from Becky for that I'm going to ask for today. So that again would be something that will be taken out of there as well. And then we have the yearly maintenance, which is taken out of it as well.
Okay.
So,
Do we have any idea what the lifespan of that equipment is? Like computers, are 3 to 5 years. Is it the same thing for that type of equipment? As we're looking forward with Judge Nanovik's concern, we probably should be looking at, what our future costs are.
right. I don't know. I mean, the last time it was replaced, like I said, was kind of a mandation that came down from them, and just waiting to hear from them whether or not, the next time around I can always have Tina reach out to them to see if it's a certain amount of years that we should be replacing it or what, and get back to you for the next meeting.
Right. Warden, are there any training costs that we have to absorb for ongoing training or new training, or is that provided free of charge?
That's provided through the annual fees and stuff like that. So that's nothing that's extra.
Okay.
What were you talking about, Tim, that you were going to bring up later, that cost estimate or something?
Under the new business, we have to replace the clean terminal that's in the live scan, because every time you fingerprint somebody, it then runs it through the clean system and sends it to PSP. And our clean terminal, according to Court IT, is out of date now and needs to be upgraded. So that purchase rec, I have a purchase rec that Becky had put together, and it would be a total cost of $1,131.60 to update that clean terminal for the live scan.
And another question, the time we pay half the salary is that person by chance putting an additional time in?
Not at this point, no. We're roughly, she's doing 40 hours, between a 2-week pay period from there, as well as doing 40 hours here in the front office as well. I mean, that's something down the road, if we have, more individuals that need to be printed over the years, that may be something we may have to look at possibly making that just a full-time position on its own. But at this point, we really don't have the necessity for that.
But what other expenses could we have been occurring and maybe didn't take into consideration? What about when we do this, is there a correction officer involved?
No,
No,
it's just strictly the live scan operator that brings the people back as they come in here, or if it's an individual in the that's already incarcerated here, she brings them out and fingerprints them as well. But there's never any correctional officers that are with at that time.
So the corrections officer doesn't escort them to the live scan or printing?
No, a lot of times she'll go and get those individuals, because most of the time they're back in the booking area anyway.
Is Tim, refresh my memory, is all the live scan equipment kept in a separate physical space?
Yes.
Well, okay, so if I had a home business and I was using 45, 100, 200 square feet for that home business, I would be looking at my utilities, the maintenance and all those things proportionally for that space, and would be able to claim that. Again, I'm kind of following up on what Wayne is saying, let's find the justified expenses for justifying the fees, because what I'm seeing right now from after the judge explained this to us, our fees seem excessive. And without a yearly budget and then a budget forecast where you're looking out 3 to 5 years, I don't know how we can justify this particular increase. Now, again, I understand it's hindsight, but this is something that was just brought to light to the board.
Well, we've never, and I know what you're saying, heat, electricity, things of that nature. We've never kind of broken it down as far as, the gas bills and stuff like that for anything. That was never anything that was ever brought up. But I mean, that's something that we definitely could look at. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, our propane tank that we have here also, services the comm center, but as far as I know, we get the bills for all the propane. I don't know if that's even,
But in the comm center or someone that's supposed to be reading that meter, and I thought that was charged out to comm center and EMA.
Yeah, well, that may be, I don't know. I just know, like, when that thing is filled, the bill comes to us. So, I mean, there may be something behind the scenes, Wayne, that's being done, but that I don't know for sure.
Okay, the other thing, lost my train of thought. They took what, if the balance is 25,000 now, and this started back in 2010, maybe we're not that far out of line with what we're charging really.
250,000.
Yes,
25
I believe it's about 250,000.
Yeah. And again, that utility thing may just be nickels and dime and not worth the math, to be honest. But again, just trying to make sure we're reconciling intake, with what meets up the needs to cover it.
Right.
Gentlemen, I know, and I'm not sure if the warden has been privy to some of these discussions, but I know that there have been discussions amongst law enforcement agencies and some court employees of the need for a second site. So I know that that's been in discussion. I don't know how far it's gotten, but just for a kind of a daytime site And the reason why my understanding is that the prison was selected was because it was available 24/7, but having a second site somewhere else in the county during daylight hours was something that was being discussed. But I don't know how far and what the feasibility is. All I know is that I know it was discussed.
I thought that was part of the state police were doing that.
I know that they were mentioned, but I'm not sure if that was the exact location.
I'm looking at this whole thing. I mean, first of all, we got a machine that was given to us. And then this new one that we have is almost 10 years old. And I don't know, should we be looking into newer equipment? Because I think, Tony, you could look at your cars that you have, the equipment that was in them 10 years ago is not the same thing that's in now. You know, letting something go like this and breaking, and, I'm hearing that the system has to be cleaned out. What does it have? Does it have memory? Computers have to be updated, and, computers are outdated within 2-3 years. So maybe this is something that we should look into within the next couple months, maybe to get a new machine. Maybe this thing is at the end of its life.
Well, that's a good point, Rocky, because when I mentioned that to the warden about the lifespan, again, that equipment is scanning equipment, and that changes, in 2 or 3 years. I know that I was apprised that there are some training issues, and it is a little complicated at times to run this machine. And my question is that, perhaps there's something that's more user-friendly now as well that might be more efficient to use. And that's the reason why I asked the question about lifespan.
I mean, I would be in favor of looking into that, see what a new one would cost. And I think, like Mark has been stating too, I mean, we're looking at refrigerators and whatever without, throughout the system there, we should be maybe looking at this equipment also.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, question with additional sites question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any chance that any of the local police departments could assist the county with that? If they were a larger department, perhaps?
That was something that was discussed. As a matter of fact, I think in the initial stages, it was one of the police departments, and it may have been Lansford, that was being considered for the 24-hour site. But for some reason that didn't happen, and it went to the prison. But, that's an option, is to have it one of the other police departments, maybe in the lower end of the county, that would serve as the regular business hour place to go and have this done.
Because I guess the magistrate's offices wouldn't be set up to do that, right?
Correct.
Be too complicated.
Correct. And police agencies by nature are used to taking fingerprints.
Right, right,
So that would be the most likely site.
right, okay.
So we have a lot of discussion here, and I think we have to kind of circle back to the requests of the warden. Warden, can you state again what you were requesting?
My request is to no longer collect fees here at the prison for live scan.
Okay. Is that something that we could proceed with today, Mr. Solicitor?
Well, I think that's at the discretion of the board. I mean, I think the judge has raised some issues. I don't know, maybe the controller knows. I mean, is this fund part of the audit? Are you aware of?
The
Like
fingerprint?
the commissary fund is part of the audit, is the booking center fee part of the audit in regard to, which would enlighten us on the appropriate expenditures and things like this out of the fund?
I could double check on that, but as far as I know, it is, but.
But again, I think the other part is, I think it's essential to see, as the judge says, are we just increasing it to increase it, or, or is there a reason to increase it at this point that's substantive?
Well, I think I want to interrupt here. I think we're talking about two different things. I think the warden has just asked if we could refrain from collecting it at the prison. And I think the second topic is what should we do with the current fee, unless I'm missing something.
Well, actually, Sheriff, last month, the board did vote to increase the fee.
Okay,
but they had, not done anything with the collection and wanted me to talk to the clerk of courts.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing this month. Just to go back to the solicitor's question about the audit that's done here at the prison is just strictly the commissary account and the work release account. That does not include anything with the live scan at all.
okay.
And maybe it should, I'm not, again, I would defer to the controller and to the solicitor, but I know under, it's section 1725.5 of Title 42, subsection B, it says that the fee under this plan should be paid to the county and deposited into a special central or regional booking center fund established in the county. So I mean, the fee is paid to the county, so the monies are held by the county. So I would think that that should be included in the county audit. I mean, that's my logical belief, but maybe I'm wrong. Because it's not a fee that's paid to the court or anyone else, it's paid to the county. And I'm not necessarily, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, the only thing I was going to say, Judge, is, that those monies, although they're, currently collected here, are given to the different magistrates and the clerk of court's office, and then eventually, I guess, green sheet it to this fund. So I mean, the prison itself doesn't actually have any control over this fund at all. So I think that would almost have to be a separate audit that would be done and wouldn't really be in conjunction with our commissary and work release audit.
Well, I'm not saying whether it comes under the prison audit or some other audit. I'm just saying I think it would be included in some county audit because the fees are paid to the county. That's the entity that's holding the funds.
Right.
That's all I'm getting at.
Okay.
And maybe it has been. I don't know. I know the controller is going to look into that. It may very well have been. And I wasn't necessarily criticizing the fee. We do have a significant amount of funds in the account, and I believe that there's a countywide booking center plan that should have been done when this fee was first implemented. I have every reason to believe it was done. I know when I spoke to the county administrator, not the county administrator, the court administrator, Greg Armstrong recently, he said there is a written plan. I'm just having him check to make sure that it was, filed with the Department of the, what is it here? The DCCA, and then filed with AOPC. I would suspect it was. But if we intend to expand into another location like the sheriff suggested, or if we intend at some point to perhaps build a building to accommodate a booking center, I don't see a problem with having fees in anticipation of those kind of expenditures to generate a fund to pay for that. So I'm not necessarily saying that it's inappropriate or improper. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that the fee that's currently in place has been more than sufficient to cover the expenses that have currently been incurred. But there may be projections, and this may be part and parcel. Perhaps that countywide booking center plan needs to be amended. I haven't looked at it. It's according to the statute, it's a county plan that's basically prepared in conjunction with CJAB, and perhaps that needs to be amended or updated to include additional concepts that these fees will be utilized for.
Okay.
Yeah, and it appears as though that should be a topic for, as you mentioned, Your Honor, for CJAB to look at to update that plan. But again, I want to circle back to
It may have to be.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I don't say it may have to be. I can't say for sure it has to be updated because I haven't looked at it. I'm just saying it may have to be updated. And go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not aware that it has been, and I think you might be right. It may have to be updated, and that's just based on my recollection. But we need to circle back to the original request by the warden, and according to what I'm hearing, and I could stand corrected, is the warden is asking for the board to make a determination that we will no longer collect these fees at the prison. Is that correct, warden?
That is correct, Sheriff.
Okay.
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion carries.
Now, I'm not trying to confuse this any further. but I probably will by my next question. What would the board like me to do with respect to the current fees? Again, we'd still have to perhaps adjust them for juvenile delinquent offenders as well. Should I hold back on that until we do further examination and review of this? Or do you want me to go forward and prepare an administrative order with the new fees in place?
Okay. And I would say that it seems to me like it's more in the legal realm, and I would ask our solicitor to weigh in on that.
Well, I think the board, as pointed out, has voted to implement the fees, so I think the other issues about the updating the plan or the future plans for the fees, are a separate issue again. So, and if the board has in fact voted to implement the new fees, it would seem appropriate for the judge to follow up with the required administrative order and procedure.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because there was no date for implementation. I'm not trying to be super critical or sensitive, but again, I wasn't aware, and perhaps the other members of the board weren't aware either of what revenues the fee was already generating, and that may alter what they want to do. But if the board would like me to go forward and implement the fees, we still have to discuss, like I said, the juvenile delinquent offenders fee. I'll be glad to do so. And I'm just asking for some guidance from the board if they want me to go ahead on that. And then again, if they do, I should know if you want to adjust the delinquency fees for juveniles from $25 to something else. Or if you want me to hold back on it, you review it further, that's fine with me as well.
Was there a date on the motion to implement the new pricing?
There was
I don't
no
believe there
date at
was,
the
no.
time, no.
All right, well, then I'll make a motion to suspend implementation of the new pricing until the board is able to relook at its current plan to ensure that we're not charging excessive fees.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition signify by saying no. Motion carries.
Just to go a little further in this, what I could also do is reach out to juvenile probation to see about, I don't know if there's any statute on the juvenile fees at all, but I can reach out to him to see, if to get some input, whether or not that's a sufficient fee or if it needs to be changed or if it should be changed, and bring that back to the board as well.
Okay. All right. Any other old business, Warden?
The only other thing I have under old business, currently the fingerprinting and work release is now suspended until February 8th due to the COVID. I am just requesting that we extend that to at least next prison board meeting, which is scheduled for February 17th. Just to revisit at that time to see where we're at. Hopefully, some of these numbers come down and we can start getting back to some type of normal here.
Okay.
Right now, I just feel that the numbers are still a little too high, and with our current situation in house here, I would kind of like to wait a little longer to see where we're at.
And I don't know, Warden, is that causing any internal problem for, I guess, transference of information to the state police or anyone else? I don't know where it all goes, that information that's normally live scanned in, if there's issues that's creating by holding up having those things done. So it's really an information question.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any issues at this point. Nobody has reached out to us with any concerns about it at this point.
So the warden has made a request to continue the suspension of work release and fingerprinting access fees until the next prison board meeting of February 17th. Did you say, Warden?
That's correct, Sheriff.
Yeah, do we need a motion on that, Mr. Solicitor?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll so move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
If anyone opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion carries.
Okay,
Warden?
that was all I had under old business. Under new business, I have a PA saving agreement for re-upping that for year 2021 from January 1st through December 31st. Just looking for a motion to approve this as well, and then I can get it down to the commissioners for board action.
Okay,
Also move.
do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Okay, the next thing I have under new business, replacement of the water heater for the dishwasher. We were given 2 quotes by K&D. One is for $2,577.50 to replace the heater booster, and the other is for $2,084.45 just to refurbish it with putting new parts on it and stuff. And I would make the recommendation to the board for, less than $500 to put a new, heater booster into the machine.
Any discussion on the warden's recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a
Second,
second?
second, Wayne.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, please say, all opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Okay, and then another thing I have here under new business is the replacement of the clean computer terminal in LiveScan. I had received a call from Becky from Court IT last week that unit is out of date and obsolete at this point. So we need to look at replacing it. And she got me a quote for an Optiplex 5480 all-in-one clean drive terminal for the system at a cost of $1,131.60.
Motion to approve.
Second, Mark.
All right. Everyone in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Okay, the final thing I have that wasn't on the new business, and I just wanted to bring it up to make sure there wasn't anything that the board had to do. But recently, Judge Nanovic had made a administrative order 5-2021 decreeing that Judge Surface is authorized to represent Judge Nanovic on the prison board in his absence. And I just didn't know if there was anything that the board had to recognize this or anything moving forward or not. So I just wanted to make sure that was.
You have correspondence. You could just note it as an item under correspondence for the agenda,
Okay,
and it'll be in the minutes.
all right.
By the way, I plan to continue attending, but there could be reasons I can't, and that's why we had, I think we were coming to a meeting that I was unable to attend, so Judge Surface attended for me.
Yes. Okay. Warden, anything further?
That was all I had, Sheriff.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is correspondence, and we just have that one piece there from the administrative order. Any other correspondence?
None.
Solicitor's report?
Nothing additional.
Okay. The final item on the agenda is further business. Is there any further business before the prison board today? Okay, it doesn't appear that there are any, and we will move for adjournment. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Tony, could you stay on for 1 minute? Just talk about the school district quick once everyone else gets off.
Sure.
Okay, we're done.
Hey, Mark, if you can hear me yet, come up and see me in about 10 minutes. I think we got off now.
And Nick, if you could stop streaming, please.
And recording.
Yeah.